welcome back. That was Matt Maloof, Fire. And we'll talk a little more about him in just a second. But we have that special caller on the line. Who might this be?
Hey, it's Mitch Laney.
Mitch Laney from St. Luke's Drifters?
It's the truth.
What's going on, man?
How are you, Rick?
I'm doing awesome. It's perfect timing. I was just talking about you a bit here. 2016 Artist of the Year here at Music Mafia Radio.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome. I still haven't entirely wrapped my head around how cool that really is. And week after week after week after week, and every week it happens, and I'm like stunned. I still can't believe we are, still in the top 30.
Well,
it's awesome.
The numbers are insane. Now, Kim Carney, you know her, you love her. She has been keeping stats like a madman. And not only 2016 Artist of the Year, but you've been charted. We've had 28 countdowns to date. You've been in all of them with 5 different songs. 23
wow.
23 out of these 28 top 30s, you were in the top 10.
Wow.
You basically you just squatted. You basically you set up camp and you're like, listen, y'all, we're here for a while. Get used to it.
I can't even get used to it, to be honest with you. Speaking of Kim Carney, yes, I do love her. She has been a spectacular supporter of St. Luke's Drifters, of myself personally. I think of her every day. I know she needs a lot of love and support from everybody, so just give her a little thought every now and then. But she's an awesome, awesome person.
Well, listen,
and we would not have been part of this if she hadn't found us. So I really appreciate that.
Well, all right, we'll give her that credit. All right, but this isn't the dating game, Mitch.
Okay.
It is so good to hear from you, man. So we were talking a little bit off air there, and everybody's kind of curious what's been going on since last year, and you actually you have a lot going on right now.
We do have a lot going on. St. Luke's Drifters is writing new material. We have a lot of new songs that are not on any kind of recorded medium right now. We have been busy doing that. Kenny writes our traditional country stuff. I tend to write maybe a little less so with the traditional sound, but the two of us together, we basically, and of course Scott and Johnny and everybody puts their weight into what we do, so it ends up sounding like St. Luke's Drifters. Kenny is writing now, and Johnny and Scott and I are pursuing a little side project at the simultaneously to this going on with St. Luke's Drifters, and we're working on a project called the Non-Profits, and that is a 3-piece kind of faster, more rock and roll version of what we do in the Drifters, and it'll still have some twang to it, but it's going to kick a little harder. And, it's something that we all enjoy and want to do. And of course, Kenny is also pursuing some side stuff in a real traditional country and Western band. And, we're all having a lot of fun and working on music together, working on music separately. And I do look forward to sharing some of the Non-Profit stuff with you guys. I think you're going to like it.
Oh, we'd be
kind of like Cowboy Ramones.
We would be absolutely thrilled to get our grubby paws on it, Mitch. That's for sure. I'm sitting here. You mentioned some of this off air, and to hear you say it all again, you also mentioned, you got family and kids and work and everything else going on. How are you fitting all this in? I mean, the music. The music especially. You're forced to fit the family and kids in. We all get that. But with all that going on, and now you've got, 2-3 different music projects going on?
Yeah. I'll be honest with you. I don't really have a choice but to fit it in. I turn into a pretty miserable SOB if I don't get that outlet. So, I write a lot of time. I have an hour to almost an hour commute to and from work every day. And so a lot of my writing is actually done there in my head. And I can pretty nearly write an entire song in my head. And of course, technology being what it is today, Siri helps me take down that stuff. And when I get home and some time alone to sit down with a guitar, most of it's done already. So I have to do a little tweaking, and then, of course, I bring it into a rehearsal day and play it for the guys. And, a few minutes later, we got something that we can work with. And, of course, Scott writes and Johnny writes and Kenny writes, and, we all bring our stuff to the table. An example would be Scott Kirk, our drummer. He wrote "Let Me Down" off of the Trials and Tribulations record. So that's a great song, and it's all Scott. He brought it in basically, ready to go. And so I don't share that burden. I don't really. I mean, I call it a burden. It's not really a burden unless I can't do it, and then it becomes a burden because I need to do it, and it keeps me grounded and sane and mentally healthy.
Well, and I think it just goes to show the passion you have for this. I mean, it's not this isn't a job for you. This isn't a side gig for you. This is absolute passion for you, and so in a sense, right? I mean, it's if you're gonna stay sane, you got to keep up on that passion. And you made very clear to me off air, you're not in the studio, all right? You made that very clear, but you guys are doing a lot of writing. So when it comes to St. Luke's Drifters, I mean, are we going to be looking at a whole new album, maybe a couple of new singles? What are you guys planning on there? Just as much as you're allowed to say.
No, I think at minimum we would be looking at probably an EP, so four or five songs. I can't give you a timeline right now of when we think we're going to go in the studio, but I think it's pretty safe that we will do it. We've got some really good songs. You guys have heard some of the new songs on video, some of the live stuff, Fixin' to Drink, Cadillac, and all those things are out there on our YouTube channel. So we got some good solid foundational stuff. And I think you could also listen to some of those new videos, and if you're really tuned in to what we're doing, you can also feel sort of a directional tug, kind of a tug of war. Not really war, but you know what I'm saying. We've got some songs like Broken and Beautiful and My Girl, and
now hold on, My Girl, the traditional My Girl.
No,
oh, okay.
no. This is more like kind of a fast rock and roll song. It's kind of dirty. You'll have to listen to it more.
Well, that's good news, because at the end of My Girl, I cried like an idiot, and I can't go through that again, Mitch. I just can't do it again.
No, you won't cry on this one, I don't think. You know.
Nobody's getting stung by bumblebees or nothing crazy like that.
No.
You've never watched My Girl, have you?
No, nobody. Yes, I have seen that.
Oh, okay.
But nobody's getting stung by bumblebees. Not at all.
All right.
I'm just going to leave that there. The video is on YouTube. It's called My Girl by St. Luke's Drifters. Anybody who wants can go listen to it, and you can feel free to chat amongst yourselves.
Now,
I hope everybody likes it. But that's why really we're sort of, because honestly that style of music is not really conducive to St. Luke's Drifters, but it's still got to get out. One of the things I was going to say is about, you were talking about passion in writing and all that, and if it weren't for me writing songs, I would have to live in a really dark place that the songs help me process stuff. And it's like me going to a therapist or whatever. and if I can get it out and get it out in a way that makes me feel okay, I'm really fortunate that a lot of times when I do that, other people have had the same feelings and other people relate to it also. And that really makes me a really lucky fellow, because if I can get it out and other people relate to it, not only am I helping myself through a sometimes, difficult time. I was trying to think the other day how many happy songs I've written in my life. And, they're not that many really, maybe 4 or 5.
Yeah, but you're not necessarily an unhappy person, are you? I mean, it's
I'm really happy. I am. But everybody goes through periods and things that are not comfortable or not pleasant. In relationships, in business, in your home life, in your job, in your, where do you think, take this job and shove it? Where do you think that came from?
Right.
So I'm not unhappy at all. Actually, I'm very happy. But there are always periods in people's lives, and me being able to write that stuff down helps me deal with it, helps me process it. And then it's kind of like becomes sort of like water off the back of a duck at that point. I've dealt with it. I've vocalized it. Then I'm just able to kind of move on past it.
Yeah,
and one of the things I've learned, I'm sorry, just go ahead. I don't mean to monopolize.
No. Hey, you monopolize, man. It's all about you right now. That's why we had you call in. It's all about you. You go ahead.
Well, what I was going to say is if I can vocalize that, if I can get it down and put it in a way for other people to hear it, and they listen to it, and they get either some comfort in knowing they're not the only one, or they're able to relate in some way, or it just makes them happy. That's what it's all about for me.